watching In Your Interest. I am Shweta Kothari. Do you frequently take paracetamol or perhaps calcium and vitamin D3 supplements? Well, here are some worrying news. Over 50 commonly used medication, including paracetamol, blood pressure drugs and diabetes pills, recently failed quality test by Central Drugs Standards Control Organization or CDSCO. Now, India's drug quality has come under intense scrutiny again as the Central Drug Standard Control Organization flagged more than 50 drugs for failing quality test in its August 2024 alert. Among these are widely used medicines like paracetamol, Pandi, the antacid, calcium and vitamin D3 supplements, high blood pressure treatments and diabetes medication, sparking concerns about the reliability of popular drugs in the market. Now, CDSCO's monthly drug alert report revealed that 53 high-selling drugs were classified under the not of standard quality or NSQ category. Now, this assessment comes from random sampling conducted at state-level labs, and it has placed several major pharmaceutical companies under the microscope. Now, notably, drugs from Alchem Labs, Hetero Drugs, Karnataka Antibiotics and Pharmaceuticals and Torrent Pharmaceuticals were included in the failed batch. Now, one of the key drugs that failed to meet the standard is the metronidazole, a commonly prescribed medication for stomach infections. It was manufactured by Hindustan Antibiotics. Another prominent drug, Shelcal, a calcium and vitamin D3 supplement, also widely distributed by Torrent Pharmaceuticals, appeared on the list. Additionally, antibiotics like Alchem Health Sciences, Calavam 625 and the antacid Pandi were also found to be substandard by the drug testing lab in Kolkata. Now, the quality failure list extends to pediatric medicines as well, with Cipodem XP50 dry suspension, often prescribed for severe bacterial infections in children, being flagged as substandard. Even everyday medicines like paracetamol tablets produced by Karnataka Antibiotics and Pharmaceutical did not meet the required quality standards. CDSCOs has divided failed drugs into two lists. Now, 48 were classified as not of standard quality and another 5 under investigation with suspicion that some batches may be spurious. In response to the findings, drug manufacturers have denied responsibility for these products, claiming that they never produced the batches that failed the test. Now, in August this year, CDSCO banned more than 156 fixed-dose drug combinations which are likely to be involved or to involve risk to humans. Among these were several fever drugs and commonly used painkillers. The rising number of substandard drugs highlights the ongoing issue within the regulatory framework, raising questions about the safety of essential medication in India and India's healthcare system. Now, consumers and healthcare providers alike are often left wondering how these quality lapses continue to occur in such a critical industry. To talk about these lapses and what do the new failure for these critical 53 drugs mean to people, joining us on the show is Dr. Sharad Kumar Agrawal. He's the National President of Indian Medical Association. Sir, thank you very much for taking time out. Now, the CDSCO has reported that 53 medicines failed the quality test. The list includes very commonly used medicines, as we discussed, like paracetamol and Pandi. How alarming is the development, given that paracetamol is used on a daily basis by a lot of people?
See, the Central Drug Regulatory Quality Department, they do this exercise every month and they issue the report. And they are not saying that all the drugs, whether it is paracetamol, pentoside or antihypertensive drug or the entire list. They have said that those particular brand or the batch of that composition were under the category of spurious, or they were not maintaining the standard quality. That is, they said. So first of all, you have to understand, it does not mean that all the paracetamol or all other drugs mentioned in the list are spurious, number one. Number two, the bigger question, why these spurious drugs are available in our country? What we are doing? The common answer given by the maximum company, if you see the list in the last column, they have given that this batch is not manufactured by us. It comes under the spurious category, means somebody else uses their name and their logo and made this drug. So this also needs investigation, thorough investigation, because everything cannot be like somebody else is using somebody else logo and manufacturing detail. This also needs to be investigated. And spurious drug is not a new, it is a huge problem in our country. And we at IMA keep on asking this question, what the government and agencies are doing, why they are allowing that these spurious drugs are being made. Why can't they stop that? Why can't they, they find out the chain from where they are getting that molecule, how they are making that, and how they are, sending these to the market. That should be investigated thoroughly. It is a very serious issue. That is why the country is not ready for prescribing only generic medicine. Because unless until we have a control over the spurious drugs or the lot of drugs which comes under NSQ category, we cannot shift to these things.
Understood, sir. But, manufacturers are denying making these medicines. Those manufacturers who've been called out saying that the batches that were tested were not medicines that we made. Now, what protocol is in place to really monitor quality and hold these companies accountable?
Definitely. We need to rework on. We have to see. You just go and check how many drug inspectors we have deployed. We have lack of the manpower. How can they check? Ideally, if you go to their guideline, the drug guideline, it says that every batch should be checked. But practically it is not possible. They are not doing that. That is why they are doing this, the sudden sample kind of thing and checking, and whichever is they are finding. Ideally, all the batches should be checked properly. All the medicine of the same batch need not to check, but one or two as per the protocol has to be checked, which is not been done. And you are right, it creates confusion in the mind of the common people. Whether the drug I am consuming is under spurious category or right. And many a time, the problem and the result of these spurious drugs faced by doctors, because patient think that doctor is not treating well, and I am not getting well because of the doctor is poor or doctor has poor knowledge. But it is the because of this spurious drug he is not getting well and cured. So that should be immediately corrected. For that, government should rework on their protocol, rework on their manpower, whether they have sufficient manpower. As per as our knowledge, they don't have proper manpower, sufficient manpower to check each and every batch of the drug which is manufactured in our country.
Okay. And, given last month itself, in the month of August, around 156 fixed dose drug combinations were banned in India. Now, these included some commonly antibiotics used in the country, anti-allergic drugs, painkillers, and more. With the growing number of drugs that are now coming under the radar, do you believe that there are gaps in India's current drug quality monitoring system?
I will not say like this, but we can understand it's a big country, big population. Only thing health was never been a focus of any government. They have left health on their own. We saw during COVID. So because health is never been priority for any government, whether it is a central government or the state government. Central government, they clean their hand by saying the health is a state issue, and states have their own problems. Health has never been a political agenda of any party or any government. That is why it is being neglected. That is why you see the budget of the percentage of GDP is biggerly, you feel ashamed, the budget of our country for the health. So that is why these things, there is a lack of the will for improving the system. Everything can be done. Nothing is impossible. But only thing, we should have a willpower, and we should have a political willpower to do this. Because you have to deploy the manpower, you have to deploy the people there. You have to make the SOPs. You rework on the SOPs if the old SOPs, they are not working. And you have to make the new SOPs.
All right, all said and done, paracetamol, sir, is widely used by almost everybody that I know of. What immediate action do you think people should take, healthcare professionals should take when prescribing paracetamol or when consuming paracetamol? I think it really something that all of us do and have been doing since COVID-19 pandemic. Paracetamol's common usage is something that you see everywhere around you. Should people be wary right now?
See, that is why I am always appealing and sensitizing, educating the people that always take medicine on the advice of doctor. Why I'm saying this? Doctors, on the basis of experience, they knew which drug is effective and which is not. Which brand? Which drug means which brand of the drug is effective, which is not. Many a time people, they curse doctors. The doctors are, prescribing particular brand of medicine for some other reason. But believe me, this is not the reason. Most of the maximum doctors, they prescribe drug on the basis of quality and their previous experience from the patient who cured with the same brand of the medicine. That is why they say that you take this medicine, don't take this brand medicine. But people in a country, they think that we have some other intention, but that is not there. So that is why we always say, always go to the doctor and take his or her advice for the medicine, what medicine needs to be taken. That is the only way to just escape from this spuriousity.
All right, Dr. Sharad Agrawal, thank you very much, sir, for joining in. That's the word coming in from IMA right now, the Indian Medical Association, that always go for prescribed medicine, always go to a doctor to prescribe a medicine for you. Do not consume medicine, even if they're generic medicines like paracetamol, because they can be spurious when consumed from over the counter. And with that, it's time for a short break here. We'll be back in just a bit.
Let yourself flow with the turn of each tide.
Salty winds, you sweeten your ride.
Maharashtra,
Maharashtra is the hit.
Maharashtra tourism.
Have not quite lived up to their pre-tournament billing, delivering a series of less than convincing performances. With 2 draws and a solitary win,
Your son will be Messi.
have not quite lived up to their pre-tournament
No studies, just football all day.
less than convincing performances. With 2 draws and a
Go, my son, go. Make my face shine through playing football.
silence the critic.
Not only your face, but also the countries. I will conquer the world by playing football. Come, let's go to Germany.
World's largest football talent hunt, News 9 Indian Tigers and Tigresses. In association with DFB Pokal, Bundesliga, BVB and India Football Center. Train and play matches in Europe. Register now and fly to Germany. IndianTigersandTigresses.com.
Someone suddenly, unexpectedly hugged me from the behind. Even he kissed me forcefully. They had a overconfidence that these ladies will never come in front of the public and tell they were abused. The villains in Malayalam film industry. When that Hema committee so many girls came forward. I also got confidence. I have to remove his mask.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. News is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Welcome back. You're watching In Your Interest. I'm Shweta Kothari. The death of 26-year-old woman employee at Ernst & Young in Pune has shed light on toxic work cultures, work stress and missing work-life balance in India. Now, recently, a similar case from Uttar Pradesh's capital Lucknow made headlines. In this case, a bank executive identified as Sadaf Fatima died after falling off her chair at work. Now, Sadaf, who was working at HDFC Private Sector Bank, was rushed to a nearby hospital but was declared dead on arrival. Her body was sent for a post-mortem thereafter. According to media reports, her colleagues cited work pressure as a possible reason behind her death. Now, a police official reportedly said that initial investigation suggests cause of death was a heat attack or a heart attack rather. However, no complaint from the family has been filed so far, and officials have recorded statements of the family members. Now, Sadaf was working as an additional deputy vice president at HDFC Bank's Vibhuti Khand branch in Gomti Nagar in Lucknow. The death of HDFC Bank employee comes days after EY Pune came under scanner over the death of audit executive Anna Sebastian Periel. In a heart-wrenching letter, remember, her mother penned a letter to EY India chairman Rajiv Memani. Anna's mother blamed the back-breaking work, long working hours and a culture of glorifying overwork at EY India as the cause of Anna's death. The letter ignited a nationwide conversation about toxic work environment and the immense toll workplace stress can take on young people, especially their lives. But Sadaf's and Anna's death are not isolated incidents, as a part of a disturbing trend rather, where young lives are often cut short by work stress and toxic workplaces. An example of this is Saurabh Ladha. The 25-year-old IIT IIM graduate took his own life on 23rd of February 2024 after jumping from a 9th floor of a building in Mumbai. He was employed at McKinsey & Company. His death was cited as a result of unbearable work stress. Now, despite his prestigious education as well as a job, Saurabh's story revealed that even the most highly qualified young professional are not immune to the crushing pressure of corporate work culture. Similarly is the story of Jay Pavitran, the 19-year-old gig worker in Chennai who died by suicide on 17th of September 2024. Now, Pavitran worked as a delivery person. He became embroiled in a dispute with a customer after struggling to locate her address. The emotional toll of this confrontation, combined with the stress of the job, led him to end his life after being briefly detained by the police. These tragic cases from different sectors and social background demonstrate a widespread nature and toll of toxic workplaces, whether it's the corporate world, high-stake consulting jobs, or gig economy jobs. Young workers are increasingly falling victim to increase and extreme work stress and unrealistic expectations. The time has come for companies to prioritize mental health and well-being of their employees before more lives are lost. What exactly are companies doing? How far has the conversation come? To discuss that, joining us Amit Jain. He's the CEO of HR Solution Team Lease. Amit, thank you very much for taking time out. Good to have you back on the show. I want to begin with the death of another employee, in this case an HDFC employee. Workplace stress, it does look like, is becoming tragic day after day, with more number of people who are actually succumbing to it coming to light.
I think this is definitely another sad story. And like we were discussing earlier, Shweta, this is a story with two sides to it. On one side, organizations clearly need to lower the stigma about being able to talk about this subject inside their organizations, especially from a leadership level. The more leaders acknowledge this subject and more they encourage their employees to raise the flag or raise the call for help when they need it, the better all of us will be. The second is every organization needs to place into operation systems which actually measure the health and the wellness and the happiness and job satisfaction of employees. Look at the data to analyze it and decide what actions need to be taken based on the analysis that is coming out of that data. I think these three steps of measure, analyze, action are absolutely mandatory for any organization. However, there is also the other side of the entire picture, which is the employees. Ultimately, we need to understand that in this race for better salaries, better wealth, better progression, career progression, all of that, we need to look at life holistically and we need to put in context. And that is where, especially for youngsters, learning the skills to manage stakeholder expectations, to manage expectations, to tips to or tricks to improve productivity, focusing on some of these things is super important, because the reality of the corporate world is there are expectations, and typically employees do get pushed into meeting those expectations at personal cost.
Okay, I have to ask you right now, should companies, do you believe in this case, be individually investigated, given that heart attack or a death by a stroke does not really prove exhaustion? Because a lot of conversations out there is that how do you really prove that somebody's died by exhaustion? You can only investigate their workplace policies and try and understand if they give enough time to their employees to recuperate, if they are good to their employees, if they are humane to people around them. But you can't really prove exhaustion, can you, Amit? What should workplaces do? Should they be investigated right now individually, or do you think we need a law in place right now and a thorough revision of labor laws perhaps?
So one, I am not sure if I can really comment on the individual case, because it all depends on what the facts of the matter is, and I guess both the organization and relevant authorities are probably getting into that. I think you and me can comment more on at a generic level. I think it is important for organizations and employees to really take cognizance of this, be aware of these realities of the work life, and take steps to mitigate the negative impacts of these kind of situations. As far as regulations go, I think I'm not sure personally how much regulations are going to determine or help with these matters, because let's also be honest, like you yourself gave an example that some of these employees were probably also driven by their own aspirations to do better, to move up in the social strata or do better economically, and kind of brought on the pressure themselves as well. So regulations have a limitations to solving everything. A lot of these things, I believe, ultimately are going to be the handiwork of organizations, and especially corporate leaders coming together to call our organizations out on this and bring the focus to where it is necessary.
All right, Amit, thank you very much for taking time out and for sharing your thoughts on that matter. We now know that EY's case, Anna's case is being investigated. Now, Sadaf's case is not under investigation. Her family member has not really filed an FIR in the matter. But we do also know that her co-workers have accused the company of making her overwork and have said that perhaps Sadaf's death was a result of overwork. But with that, we've run out of time on this show. Thank you very much for watching.
Hey, careful, huh? My daddy got it from abroad. Hey, disaster! How will you pay for the loss now?
In stock market, you should take risk as per your capacity and knowledge. Trade in options very carefully.
Wow, Dikra! Absolutely perfect. Take risk with full understanding.
सोच कर, समझ कर, invest कर.
Ukraine has been seeking permission to use long-range weapons against Russia for a long time now. And seems like that relentlessness may be paying off. Western allies are now considering shifting their stand and allowing Ukraine to target spots deep inside Russian territory. But can Ukraine's use of long-range weapons trigger World War III? News 9 Plus decodes. While the possibility of a world war seems a little far-fetched, this could definitely escalate the war very quickly. It will also have profound risks for the US and its NATO allies. In response to Ukraine's use of long-range weapons, President Vladimir Putin has warned that Russia would be at war with the US and its NATO allies if they lift these restrictions. And this isn't the first time a threat like this has loomed since the Russia-Ukraine conflict began in 2022. In April this year, Ukraine's Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal said that there would be a third world war if Ukraine loses this conflict with Russia. Last year, President Volodymyr Zelensky said that if Russia won this conflict, it could next invade Poland, triggering a third world war. How will these long-range weapons help Ukraine? While they may not win the war for Ukraine, use of these weapons will deter Russia from carrying out strikes of its own. This, the experts are saying, may lead to a balance of deterrence. Basically, this could bring the war to an end. While Russia has moved its bombers, missiles, and other infrastructure out of the range of these weapons, some 200 of its bases are still vulnerable. Why does Ukraine want to use these weapons now? In one word, defense. Ukraine's cities and front lines are under daily bombardment from Russia, and this bombardment is launched from sites far within Russia. Right now, Ukraine's situation is akin to fighting this war with one arm tied behind. Zelensky needs to push back Russian airstrikes for Ukraine's survival, if not anything else. Now, what are these weapons? The Storm Shadow missile has a maximum range of around 250 kilometers. The French call it Scalp. It's launched from an aircraft and is ideal for penetrating hardened bunkers and ammunition stores. It flies low to avoid detection. The ATCMS is a precision-guided surface-to-surface ballistic missile used to strike targets deep within enemy territory. It has a maximum range of 300 kilometers. While Putin's red lines have been crossed several times with no real consequences, this may be a line worth considering stepping over.
Terrorism always flows like water. It will go in the direction where there is no obstacle.
Bloodbath in Jammu. 5 soldiers die after terrorists open fire at an army convoy in Kathua.
Pakistan essentially is doing is opening a new frontier in the Jammu region.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. News is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Hello and a very warm welcome to all of you on Game On. I'm Neha Bhardwaj Alter. On the show tonight, how much football is too much football? Yes, more reactions are coming in on the congested calendar in world football. That has become a huge talking point. You will also get to hear from the Indian chess team that won the Olympiad in Budapest. But we've got to begin with cricket. India will take on Bangladesh in the second test of the 2-match series in Kanpur on Friday. The last time India played a test in Kanpur was against New Zealand in 2021, and that match ended in a draw with debutant Rachin Ravindra batting 91 balls from India's 3 spinners to help earn New Zealand a thrilling result as bad light brought end to the play on that day. In that test match, India played 3 spinners in Ravichandran Ashwin, Ravindra Jadeja and Akshar Patel, and 2 pacers in Umesh Yadav and Ishant Sharma. Of the 19 New Zealand wickets that fell, 17 went to spin, which brings us to this week's Green Park fixture, which starts tomorrow against Bangladesh, who were walloped by 280 runs before lunch on day 4 of the first test. Now, if reports are to be believed, the black soil pitch will not aid pace as much, and the chance of batting being easier than in Chennai suggests that both teams will have to shelve the 3-pacer approach that did not bring dividends in the first test. For India, in terms of changes, Kuldeep Yadav for a pacer looks the likeliest inclusion. India have 9 test matches in the next 4 months to play, and given Jasprit Bumrah's workload, it could be that the management rests him. Akashdeep was impressive in Chennai but was given only 11 overs across both of Bangladesh's innings. Mohammad Siraj took 2 wickets in 20.1 overs, but he was erratic at times. So